Free roof because my insurance guy wants to play games. I am not sure if this is malicious compliance or not, but it was one of my finer moments and I feel the need to share it. Some 5 or 6 years ago. My wife's grandmother passed and left us her home in her will. The house was rather large, but had been built sometime in the 1960s and needed updating. We decided to basically gut the home and do a full remodel. First thing was to talk to my insurance guy and see what I needed to do with the insurance. He comes out and explains that I need to do a fire policy, which basically will replace the structure in the event of a major catastrophe. Cool, insurance in place, I start remodeling. Fast forward 7 or 8 months and I am done. And so bone tired and mad at the world that my reflection in the mirror tried to avoid me. I was working a rotating shift, days, evenings, midnights, and spending every walking moment working on this house. 5 hours a day or night was the most sleep I was getting. I would snap at the wind for blowing, I was so strung out. Cue the insurance guy and his antics. While I was sleeping after working midnight shift, my wife has IG, or the insurance guy, come to look at the house and change the policy back to full coverage. When I wake up for my next shift, she informs me that we have to put a new roof on before he can change the policy. I almost came unglued. I had ripped the ceilings out of this house, so if there had been a roof leak, I am pretty sure I would have found it. Luckily, this was Friday evening, so I had the entire weekend to calm down and plot my next move. I called first thing Monday morning and set up an appointment for 8 AM, Tuesday at the house, and explained to him I was on midnights and please make sure he was there by 8 AM. No particular reason, I just hoped it would discomfort him having to be somewhere else that early in the morning. A douchebag move mostly. Tuesday morning rolls around and he shows up with his boss. At first this threw me off, but I figure what the hell, 2 birds, 1 rock and stuff. Insurance guy, how's it going? Pretty good, how are you? Tired. How about you show me exactly what is wrong with this roof so we can get going? Sure thing, step right over here. You see that shingle? Yeah. See how bad a shape it's in? Sure do. Thinking to myself, no, what are you looking at? And over there, see that place? Yup, got a bad spot or 2 there also. This roof has taken some serious storm damage. It is in rough shape. We proceed all the way around the house with him pointing at random spots, as far as I could tell, and saying things like, that shingle is shot, those 2. Yeah, and right here. The whole time, I just did like a chicken pecking and affirmed him with, yup, you're right, all the while his boss is saying nothing. After he is finished pointing out all of these bad places. So, see, you will have to replace the roof before we can cover it. You're right, I had been so busy on the inside I hadn't paid much attention. So, can you file the claim for me? Or do I need to go talk to one of the ladies down at the office? Claim? What do you mean a claim? Well, best I can figure, it was those bad storms back in April that did all this damage, and y'all were covering it through my GMIL's policy, so I reckon y'all would be who I was supposed to talk to, right? I like turning the backwoods country accent up to 11 when dealing with people who think they are smarter than me. Adds flavour to the humble pie for them. Well now, hold on. Nah, you're 100% right. It took some serious storm damage, and we ain't had none since that bout back in April. Now, I put the fire policy on in July, so any damage done would have fell back on the old policy. The insurance guy now standing there sucking air like it's gonna run out. Then the insurance guy's boss speaks up. He's right, and since they have a year to file that claim, we will have to do it. Get the paperwork started and let me know if you need help. I am no roof expert. The roof could have been shot all to hell for all I know. It looked good and didn't leak. After I explained to the adjuster what the whole deal was about, he found enough other stuff wrong so that I wasn't out one nickel on an entire new roof. Edit. A few points to help clear some things up. My wife was an executor of the estate and had a POA for the deceased. I referenced the storms in April because that year there were multiple bad hailstorms that came through. Car dealerships lost entire inventories from these storms. It was an insurance nightmare all year long, which was why nothing was really questioned. The rest of that year was fairly calm weather-wise, so it was most likely the event that destroyed the roof. The roof was about 5 years old, give or take. Wear and tear wasn't a concern, and the insurance company had held the policy on the house since forever and were familiar with it. The insurance guy was wanting me to pay for the roof out of my pocket. If this had been pointed out in July, when I had the policy changed originally, it would not have irritated me as much. After spending the entire summer and fall working on the house, and him popping up with, "Oh yeah, by the way," yes, it rubbed me the wrong way. I am a hick, bumpkin, and some of the other names mentioned. I love that people automatically shave 30 points off my IQ for talking the way I do. Insert jokes about my now negative IQ here, please. It gives me a distinct advantage when someone does this. Yes, I play it up for my own amusement and benefit. It is no different than a woman using her looks, a policeman using his badge, or any of the other advantages people use daily. I do not type in my southern accent all the time because it isn't easy. It's almost like making a language up as you go. And if it is that hard for me to type, I can only imagine what someone who is unfamiliar with the vernacular would go through reading it. I would imagine there would be migraines and brain scans involved before they got to the end of the post. Yeah, I was gonna try do the accent, but I think I'll stick to not doing it for now. But I love how the boss was so silent throughout the end, and then right at the end he was like, "Yup, this guy's right, go do the paperwork," as if he was like fully aware his employee was being a total douchebag. Tell me to learn some respect after forgetting my pay? Fine, I'll honor everything you ask. I worked minimum wage as a retail everything. I mean, I was half manager, half cashier floor worker, half inventory. What I'm trying to say is, I did too many things. But this was a small business, mum and pop style shop. There were only 3 of us at a time running the whole operation. These were family friends. I felt I had a responsibility to this family. Minimum wage wasn't enough for a stranger, but it was enough for me, for a while. After 3 years, I had tripled their business profits. I know this because one of my many tasks involved balancing the books. I knew exactly what our sales numbers were. I knew our profit margins. I knew what our inventory cost. I knew our landlord on a first name basis, and I knew what bills we paid. I was good at my job. This store was like my family, and I made them proud. My wage had not increased in those 3 years, but looking at the numbers, I thought now was a pretty good time to bring it up. So I did. It was November, entering December. I asked for $1 more, and my boss agreed. That December, my boss forgot to pay me. I had nothing to cover my Christmas holiday. The next month, he didn't mention it at all when I returned to work after the holiday. I had to remind him that he was nearly 7 weeks overdue. When he finally paid me, he did not include the raise we had agreed upon, so I brought it up again to ask for clarification. He sat me down in the back room and told me he couldn't believe how demanding I was, that in all his years, he'd never seen someone act so rude and disrespectful to their elders. If we were strangers, I'd have left on the spot, but we were family. I was in tears, but I was also very, very angry. He wanted to go on his own holiday. He wanted to go for 3 weeks, but To teach me a lesson in respect, he also wanted to slash my hours. What's a store owner to do? He hired a new employee to cover the hours he was cutting from my schedule. He made me train the new girl for him to teach me respect. After this training period, my shifts went from 4 days a week to 1 day a week. This way, he could give me a decent raise on paper, but pay me a quarter of what he did before, and his new employee accepted the lowest minimum wage. I didn't object. As a last-ditch effort to save the business, I offered to spread my shift out and come in for 1 hour at the end of each day to check the new employee's numbers, but he refused. He wanted me to feel bad. I felt terrible. For my boss. As hard as I tried, the new employee had never understood numbers. I had tried and failed to teach her how to calculate her sales number at the end of each shift. This poor girl was straight out of high school and had too many other subjects to think about. If we'd had more time for training, she probably would have learned it. My boss cut my hours too short for me to go in depth about it. And who was I to argue with his schedule? That's why, when he went on holiday and I couldn't be around to check this girl's work during the rest of the week, the business lost money. On the days I wasn't scheduled to work, thousands of dollars in sales went unaccounted for. Hundreds of dollars of cash were miscounted. Numbers were typed incorrectly into our computer system, rendering our inventory counts useless. After 3 weeks, he returned to an absolute mathematical nightmare. The sales numbers from my 3 days of work were perfectly accounted for, and 3 times higher than what our system reported we sold the rest of the week. Although, who knows what the real numbers were. I think this made him angry. He really wanted to teach me a lesson in humility. In my last full shift, a customer tried to return something large, and I told them our store policy to the letter. Only my boss had the power to return that item. To make sure it would be returned properly, I did write a note on their receipt that they had tried to return it to me, but I was following store policy and leaving it for my boss to handle when he returned from his holiday. Apparently, according to the angry reviews left on our social media, he refused to accept the return and told the customer she was a stupid idiot for believing me. In my next scheduled shift, I asked him point blank if the review was true, and he laughed about it. He told me he was just showing us all who's boss. He admitted to the whole thing. He also mentioned he was giving me more hours as a reward for all my hard work. He wanted me to come in every day from now on to review all the numbers. I came clean. He'd given me a lot of time off in the past few weeks, and during that time, I'd found a new job. I made it clear, also, that I had never once disobeyed his instructions or broken store policy. Every action I'd taken had left a paper trail. However, he had broken every single agreement he'd made with me. My payday dates, my wages, my scheduled hours. Things that could be proven by my expert paper trail to our Ministry of Labour. And his behaviour and comments around customers were posted on every social media review, which he admitted to, so I knew exactly what he thought of me. I was only there to hand over the keys to the store. He cried. He couldn't look me in the eyes. Part of me is sad because for a long time we were family. Since my departure, reviews of my old family-run shop have absolutely tanked. Meanwhile, my new job is incredibly wholesome, my hours are solid, my benefits are excellent, and my rates are triple what I made before. And I wouldn't be here if I hadn't followed instructions to the letter. I've learned so much about respect. I'm pretty sure I've said something similar like this before, but the people that demand respect like that, they're the people that don't deserve any, really, aren't they? The people that say, oh, you should just respect me because I'm older than you, or because I'm your boss. Like, no, you need to earn respect. Hey everyone, I hope you all had a really good day and that you enjoyed that video. If you want to check out some other videos, then click on screen right now, or check out the playlist down below. If you enjoyed that video, then please do leave a like, and if you want to submit your own stories, then you can do so by joining the Discord in the top link in the description. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you very soon.